Alright, hey guys, this is the third video showing you the gear you need. This video is for predator trapping for like your coyote, fox, and bobcat. This is just some of the basic gear I use for trapping predators. Just with the tools, you're just going to need a hammer and a digger. Dig your trap beds and pound stakes in. If you're a beginner, for stakes, I'd just go with the rebar stakes, either the T stakes or the stakes that have a nut or a washer welded on top. You can either buy these or make them yourself. But if you have the money and want to try cable stakes, I'd recommend them. They aren't as heavy if you carry a bunch of these, but if you're a beginner, then you're not going to have a lot of traps, and it's fine just to carry these for the first several years that you're trapping. But in the future, if you start getting into long lines, these still work, but they do get heavy after a while if you have several dozen traps set. Unlike cable stakes, you can carry several dozen of these at a time. They're lightweight. You can just roll them up like that. They're small, compact. They work really good. You can buy them. I have all different kinds. I make my own. I have a video up. You can go check it out and see how they work and what they're all about. We're gonna do predator trapping. You're going to dig a lot of dirt holes, so you're going to need something to dig dirt holes with, whether it be, if the ground's soft enough, you can just pound a rebar stake in the ground and just waller around in a circle to make a hole. If it's a little bit harder ground, you're going to need some kind of trowel or digging tool to pound in the ground and dig out the dirt. You can buy them. Make them. I made this one. It's not the best, but I would really recommend getting like a hand auger. It saves a lot of time. I'm going to get one personally, but I've heard they work really good. Saves you a lot of time. Even if the ground is frozen, it's hard to make a dirt hole when the ground is frozen, and with the dirt auger, it just makes it a lot easier. And then you don't have to pound this in the ground. But if you do, another thing, if you do get cable stakes or make them yourself, you're going to have a driver for them. If you buy a certain kind of stake, you want to make sure you get the right kind of stake driver. The drivers are not very expensive, but I would recommend cable stakes if you can afford them. Another important tool you're going to want is a sifter. You can either make them or buy them. They're pretty cheap. It's pretty much like a one-time buy. They last for a long time, unless you lose it or something. But it's good to always have a sifter. Sift dirt over your trap, and you can bed it good. Another thing, you can either carry in dry dirt, peat moss, or whatnot. I do a lot of hay sets, so I carry a lot of hay and straw in with me, so it's a little lighter weight instead of carrying dirt, dry dirt in. But it just all depends on what kind of set you want to make. And you're always going to want some kind of gloves. When predator trapping, scent is very important. You want to keep your scent down as much as you can. Some kind of gloves, I'd recommend like leather gloves, but you can also use some kind of either gloves that you use for water trapping. Those work good too. But one thing is never wear the same gloves that you handle your bait and lures with and setting traps. You want to use either separate gloves or take your gloves off when using lure, because if you use the same gloves when you handle the lure and setting the traps, then that lure will get on the traps, and when you bed the traps, when the coyote or fox or bobcat come up, they know they can smell that scent on the trap and they're going to dig up your trap. So it's important to have maybe one pair of gloves for just setting, using it for bait, and another pair just to set traps with, or just have just one pair to set traps with, take the pair of gloves off, and then just use your bare hands to lure with. But I'd recommend having 2 pairs of gloves. Another important tool is when you do predator trapping, or any trapping of any kind, you're most likely to catch either a non-target animal. If you're trapping coyotes, you're going to get quite a few coons and possums in your sets. So a pole catcher is very important to have, because you might even catch a neighbor's dog or something. But it's always important to have because you can catch them around the neck and then hold them down while you can get their foot out of the trap. So that's some of the basic tools that you need. And now to the traps. There's all different sorts of traps out there. If you're just beginning, I just go with the Duke traps. They are kind of on the cheaper side and on the lower end built traps for at least coyotes. They're not as strong, but they do work. And that's all I've ever used, and it works. I just haven't really had the money yet to buy the real good heavy duty like MB traps yet. But if you can afford those traps, I would really recommend buying them. But if you're just starting out, you don't have a lot of money, then these are some of the traps I'd recommend. If you're going to trap fox, a good small trap to use is a Duke 1.5. They work great for fox. I've caught a lot of fox in them. And some people even use these 1.5s for coyotes. You might think they're crazy, but they do work. They hold the coyote. I've accidental catch on a couple coyotes and fox sets with a 1.5, and I've never had a coyote pull out of a 1.5. But it is kind of rare to catch coyotes accidental and 1.5s, but they will hold a coyote if you just don't want to spend a lot of money on a bigger trap. And a good all-around trap for whether it be fox, coyote, and bobcat, it'd be either a 1 3/4 or a number 2. Those 2 traps are really good either for the 3 animals. If you can afford it, I'd go with the offset jaws. It's just a little more comfort for the animal, and even lamination. You can make your own laminations at home, or you can buy them. They're not very expensive, but you just have to have access to a welder if you buy them separate. But if you have the money, then I would buy the traps that are already laminated. The only things I do different on like the traps for coyotes, fox, and bobcat is I change the chain on like most of the Duke traps. Only on the number 4s they come with a different chain, but on the traps they have this like chain link. It's not very, I don't think it's very good for coyotes, so I would change that out with a heavier duty chain and an inline swivel. And also, you can buy base plates, but I just take the J-hook off of the side here where it's going to come from the manufacturer and move it here to the bottom, because there's already a hole here in the bottom. So just take the J-hook off from the side and put it in the bottom, so now your chain is coming from the bottom, and it's a lot better. It doesn't damage the animal's foot as bad as if it's from the side here and they're pulling from an angle. but if you get into larger traps, if you like have the money for them, then they work a lot better. They have a higher, uh, not higher catch rate, but like a higher catch on the animal itself, like higher up on the foot, and they hold a lot better. If you're gonna go with a good trap for coyote and bobcat, I would go with a number 3 or number 4. If you go with a number 3, you can also use that for coyote and fox and stuff. If you go to a number 4, I wouldn't use that. I'd only use a number 4 for coyotes and maybe bobcat. I would not use a number 4 for fox because they're just too big, too strong. They break the fox's leg. I made a mistake of setting one of these for a fox, and it broke the fox's foot. And so don't use a trap this size for a fox. It's just a mistake I made. But if you get the number 4 Duke, it already comes with a base swivel here. Comes with pretty good chain already. I think, I can't remember if it came with an inline swivel or not, but I think I put them in here. But it does have a better chain on it. And I don't think they come laminated, but they might, can't remember. But I do laminate all my traps just to make sure I have a good catch. But these are some of the steel traps that you can use that I'd recommend. If you're just starting out, you don't have to have very many to start. Just a couple 1.5s, maybe a couple 1 3/4 number 2s, maybe a couple number 3s or number 4s, depending on what you want to trap. Another good technique for catching predators is, if you don't have the money or don't want to mess with steel traps at all, is going with cable restraints. Cable restraints are easy to set. You don't have to put a lot of effort in. You don't have to have as many tools. But you do have to check your regulations. Some states allow cable restraints and some don't. Here in Missouri, you're allowed to, but you have to take a class and get a permit. And you can't set them in certain places, like under a fence or anything like that. But you do have to read up on the regulations to where you can set these and if they are legal in the state. You can buy them or make them. I make all mine. I think they're between $24 for a dozen for coyote and fox, and pretty much all 3 predators you can buy that'll work good for all 3 of them. But if you're going to buy a dozen snares, I would go ahead and buy some more cable, because once you catch something in a cable restraint, then the cable is going to be twisted and bent up, and you can still reuse the parts like the swivel and the lock, and sometimes if the whammy here, if it's plastic or metal, you can reuse them too. So you can reuse the parts if you buy the snares already built. But I'd recommend just building your own, buying the parts and cable, because you can make them however long you want and stuff like that, and put all the different accessories you want. If you want certain snare locks, stuff like that, because snare locks aren't that expensive. A simple little L-shaped lock is like $2.50 for a dozen. So, because it doesn't take much equipment to trap with cable restraints. All you need is the stuff to make the snare, because you're going to be setting them on trails. So there's usually some kind of tree or something where you're going to set these on. So you're just going to need wire, a pair of pliers, some kind of cutting pliers to cut the cable off if you need to. If you're out in the field on a trail, then you're just going to need some kind of staking system and a hammer to pound in the stakes. I would wear gloves just to keep the scent down, but if you're just starting out, don't want to buy all the steel traps. If it's legal in your state to use cable restraints, then I would. They're a lot less maintenance. If it rains, then it's still hanging. It's the cable restraint's still there. You don't have to reset a trap because the rain washed away all the dirt that was over your trap. Or if it freezes, then you don't have to worry about anti-freezing your traps or anything like this, because these still work in rain, snow, and ice. They do. You do have to knock the ice off of them, but they work good. But like I said in the other videos, if you're gonna trap, some kind of tote. You don't really need a pack basket for predator trapping, but if you have the money and want to get one, then go ahead. Some kind of bag, tote bag like this works good. Get them all different sizes. You want something that has some kind of pouches or pockets to put lure in, but they do come in handy carrying all your gear. As far as bait and like lure, it doesn't really matter what kind of lure you get. There's all different kinds. I've had good luck with hawbakers, coyote lure, and fox and bobcat. I do use some coyote and fox urine. If you're gonna mix lines for fox and coyote, I would just go with fox urine, because you can catch both animals at the set you make for both animals. Because if you use coyote urine, and if you want to catch both animals, then the fox isn't really going to come up to that set just because it has coyote urine there. So I'd go with fox urine, red fox urine, and for bait, I don't buy any bait because I just think it's kind of expensive. A good bait is deer meat or beaver meat or muskrat, and for the deer and beaver, you just chunk up the meat in the little chunks, put it in a container with a little bit of beaver castor mixed with it, let it get tainted just a little bit, and then you can add that sodium benzate or whatever it's called with it so it won't rot anymore. You can order that from F&T or any other trapping supply store, but that works really good. I found deer meat or beaver meat. You can also make your own lures. You can extract the glands from the fox, coyote, and bobcat. There's videos on YouTube showing you how to do that. It'll save you some money. You just have to have some kind of little jar or container to put the glands in, and then you just have to buy some kind of antifreeze like glycerin and mix in, and so it won't freeze. And just to get started in predator trapping, it doesn't really take a lot of gear. It just kind of depends on how much you want to trap. If you're just starting out, just a couple traps and some kind of stakes, hammer, digging tool, and a sifter, and a pair of gloves, and a animal catcher, and some kind of bag, you can get started. If you want to trap anything, whether it be from muskrat to coyotes, if you want to just get it started this year, you can spend less than $100 just to get started with just like 6 or so traps, and then equipment and whatever lures you want to buy or make yourself. But this is what I use on a predator line if I'm trapping. So hopefully this gives you an idea of you want to trap predators. Gives you an idea of what you need. So hopefully it helps you out, and hopefully you start trapping this season, and hopefully you have good luck trapping. And if you want me to make any other videos or showing you how to make different sets, or talk about different how to catch different animals and what to use and stuff like that, then just let me know. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. I'm always happy to help younger trappers, or even new trappers that got out of it a long time ago and they're just starting to get back into it. So hopefully you get started this year, and hopefully you have a good season. So we'll talk to you later.